6. My name is Esther Wachuku.
And I am Choma Innocent. Here are the top stories. Israeli strikes on Gaza seafront cafe kills at least 20 Palestinians. Emir's Palace and NDLEA office set ablaze as protests rock Kwara State.
Security operatives manhandle members at PDP caucus meeting. Peter Obi to accept coalition's offer, serve one term, then hand over to the North. Details now. The world news at 6 begins on the foreign scene, where at least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cafe frequently used by activists, journalists and local residents in western Gaza on Monday. Now, rescue teams evacuated 20 bodies and dozens wounded from Al-Bakar cafeteria, an outdoor venue which consisted of tents along the beach. Now, according to the spokesperson for Gaza's Hamas-run civil defense, emergency crew were still searching through a deep crater left by the explosion. Al-Bakar cafeteria had become a well-known space for journalists, activists and remote workers, offering internet access, sitting and workspace along Gaza's Mediterranean coast. However, there is no immediate comment from the Israeli military. While here in Nigeria, residents of Lafiagi in Edo local government area Kwara State took to the streets today in protest against what they described as worsening insecurity in their communities, including repeated cases of terrorism, kidnapping and killings. The protesters, predominantly youth from areas, voiced frustration over what they termed government inaction in the face of continued violence. They were seen in a video clip chanting solidarity songs, waving placards, demanding urgent intervention to curb the bloodshed and abductions disrupting daily life. The Ara youth set fire to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency office in Lafiagi and vandalized the palace of the Emir of Lafiagi, smashing windows and damaging parts of the building. Sources also revealed the protest was triggered by accumulated anger over persistent attacks and lack of effective response from local and state authorities. The unrest reportedly escalated as protesters moved towards key government buildings, including security agency offices. According to eyewitnesses who were on ground when the protests were ongoing, the NDLEA facility was set ablaze during that demonstration. Lafiagi and neighboring communities have experienced several abductions in recent weeks, with multiple residents still being held captive. Meanwhile, security operatives today forcefully dragged out individuals from the People's Democratic Party National Caucus meeting at the party's headquarters in Abuja, which caused damage to the party's property. The incident occurred at the National Executive Committee Hall, where the meeting was scheduled to be held. Now, trouble began when two individuals reported not to be official members of the National Executive Council refused to leave the venue after being asked to do so by PDP protocol officers. As the confrontation escalated, security operatives intervened, physically ejecting the men from the hall. In the process, the glass entrance door to the neck hall was shattered. However, it remains unclear who the individuals were or why they insisted on staying inside the hall despite not being recognized as part of the official caucus. The development comes amid a serious leadership crisis rocking the PDP. Let's take a listen to one of the witnesses who was on ground precisely when the incident took place, who described the scenario as untoward and ridiculously ineffective.
Sorry, they were stopping DOT members from entering. My only offense is that I said there is meeting of DOT. That's my only offense. I've not said anything more than that before they started insulting me and bungling me out of the office. I'm a staff of the National Secretariat of the PDP. This kind of thing cannot continue. One man cannot hold the whole country to ransom. We are holding our meeting here today. They should open the place for us to hold our meeting. That's all. One man cannot hold this country to ransom. What is our offense as a party?
What's your name?
My name is Ibu Thomas.
That man is holding.
Yes, on Wiki. Yes, on Wiki is the man.
That was one of the witnesses today when the situation occurred. Literally, eyewitness on the ground said the person who is responsible for the chaos is the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike.
Now, chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Chief Bode George, has warned the President Bola Tinubu against actions that could trigger a military takeover in Nigeria. Chief Judge gave the warning while speaking to journalists today after being blocked by police officers from entering the PDP National Secretariat in Abuja. Security lockdown disrupted the party's scheduled National Executive Council and Board of Trustees meetings. The PDP leader referenced the 1962 Western Region crisis, where internal party conflicts led to the declaration of a state of emergency and the federal government takeover of the Western region, an event that marked the beginning of political instability in the country. Let's take a listen to Chief Bode George speaking on these developments.
Avoid that peatlands, that madness. What is it? Can't we sit and talk? What is the essence of democracy? Nigerians are watching. We came to our office surrounded by police because we want to have a meeting. Where you want to turn us to North Korea or turn this country to Russia? We will not allow it. Nigerians will not allow it. I can tell, I have seen both sides. Let them be very careful. Allow everybody to work according to the law of the land.
What is the way forward now? What are you going to do about it?
You think we are not going to hold the meeting? Of course, we will hold the meeting.
Today?
You bet. We will hold the meeting. Look, location, our property. You know, the landlord was prevented from sitting down and discussing domestic problems, family problems. They locked it. That doesn't mean that there are no more other houses. Is this the only building in Abuja?
We spoke to some of the policemen who said that actually it is to maintain law and order because of the conflicting notices that they made yesterday.
Yesterday, and also that they got an order from above. So who is the above?
You can hear, you know, biblically, you hear, this is the voice of Jacob, but the hand of Esau. Whoever is the thing that is ordered from the above, you've had it before. I have been on both sides, military and the civil. So let me please advise, allow sleeping dogs to lie. We have more problems, economic, financial, education, infrastructure. They should face that. Are you saying we PDP can? It is the only political Iroko tree in this country. You are saying we cannot stand? Can you tell Iroko tree in the bush that it cannot stand? Is it possible?
Hello, Chief. You're speaking in parable. Hand of Esau, body of Jacob. Who is the Esau or who is the Jacob?
You don't need, unless you are not grown up to that. If he says that the order from above, where is the above? That's why I said the voice of Jacob, but the hand of Esau.
Well, sir, as an elder of the party,
Right.
Why is it difficult to resolve this crisis?
This is the meeting that you know we cannot. You don't resolve because PDP is not a private enterprise. You don't resolve it outside. You must sit down. So if you want us to resolve our crisis, you keep it crisis. I said it's no crisis. It's a disagreement between two people, and we will sit down like you do in your family. If you have a family problem, do you start to go and get the police to block your house and all that and go to the marketplace? No. Please. Let's. Democracy is about the power of the base. And that power of the base decides, look, we trust you to manage the resources of this country for the benefit of the people. Not your family, not yourself. At the 8th law of life, who is afraid? I've seen it. So for you younger generation, so that you don't experience the mess we experienced when we were growing up, please let everybody sit down in their corner ready for the contest, fairly and justifiably.
Thank you, sir.
Meanwhile, former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has claimed he would honor any coalition agreement which could require that he serves a single term and hand over to the North in 2031. According to Obi, he's not desperate for power and is more interested in character and integrity. He stated this while speaking during a space session on X, formerly called Twitter, tagged #Peter Obi on Parallel Facts. The session attracted over 10,000 live participants and almost 3,000 audience comments. Obi also noted that upholding zoning and respecting any agreement within the coalition reflects political maturity. Let's take a listen to
the coalition is for you to serve one term and hand over to the North. Would you be ready to return to power later or take this arrangement? I'm sorry if this is off the deep end, but this is from the comment section. Balatic. Assuming the agreement in the coalition is for you to serve one term and hand over to the North, Would you be ready to return power later? Please, sir, you can just answer this, and then on the back end, we'll get back to you.
I'll be very quick. What has been lacking in our political space is issue to do with character and integrity. Character is what defines a human being. Integrity is what God show that is, it means well. If you take the arrangement, which is understandably what you can call an unwritten agreement, is that a power will go soft and not. And if an arrangement is to be followed strictly, I didn't put that arrangement, but if you follow it strictly, you will see that anybody, not just me, who happen to come from the south as president in 2027 must be ready to leave on the 28th or 29th of May 2031. I didn't say 29, 28. And if you know me, I campaign for zoning. I champion zoning in Anambra State. That is one of the reasons today some people felt we must deal with this man. I insisted on it, I maintained it, and I followed it to the letter till the last minute. Until today, I still follow it religiously in that state. Let me assure you, my character and integrity is far more important to me. Just like I'm not desperate to be president of Nigeria, if I have an opportunity and the agreement is for 2 years, I'll vote for 2 years. In 2 years, I will be able to bring competency, capacity, and compassion into governance. The things are happening today that as president, it will not happen under my watch.
You're still listening to the World News at 6 right here on the Voice of the People 90.3 FM. The All Progressives Congress APC will hold its National Executive Council NEC meeting on July 24. Deputy National Secretary Barrister Festus Fuenta disclosed this after today's National Working Committee meeting. You'll recall that Umar Ganduje had on Friday resigned as the party's chairman, and in his place, Ali Dalori was appointed in acting capacity. We'll bring you more details as the story unfolds. You're still tuned into the World News at 6 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll go straight into the news analysis segment.
All right, good evening, Barrister Fred Nzako. How are you? Thank you for joining us on the World News at 6.
Thank you. Good evening and good day to our dear listeners.
Thank you very much. Barrister Fred Nzako, let me start off with this particular scenario. Today, the National Executive Council meeting at the PDP headquarters in Abuja, security operatives dragged out the PDP BOT members. Bode George called out and said that with the way things are going, there would be a military takeover if things are not handled properly. Another member who was on ground when the chaos ensued said that the person who is responsible for this is Nyesom Wike. What exactly is the problem? Why can't they sit together and hold their meeting? Why was the entire plaza fortified with security operatives? How come the security operatives dragged out the PDP members from continuing with their meeting? What exactly is going on, Barrister Fred?
Well, what is going on is that politicians are yet to conduct themselves procedurally. Politicians are yet to respect even their internal rules and regulations. And politicians are yet to understand that this hard-fought democracy is still tender and needs to be nurtured to maturity. And politicians are yet to understand that the power of the people is more than the interest of the individual politicians. Otherwise, they should always learn to conduct themselves with all manner of decorum and with all manner of respect, with due process being in focus. But when politicians are only interested in their own selfish interest and selfish agenda, they tend to overshoot their wrong way. They tend to even misconduct themselves, even without knowing it in some cases, and leaving bad examples for the future generations to emulate. And of course, but the judge's alarm is like a warning. It's like a warning because after 1960 independence, which was negotiated amicably with the British authorities, and then we gained independence with high hopes of building a virile nation that will take its place in the community of nations. It is the same antics and attitude of politicians that led to the collapse of the First Republic, whereby the military now got involved in the administration of the country. And by the time we came back to civilian democracy, again, it is the actions of the politicians that led to the collapse of the Second Republic in 1983. So, one can say that the politicians up till now, decades and with several generations of politicians, yet they have not learned the basic fact that everything that they do must be for the best interest of the people. And once they put the people as the primary interest and the central focus of their activities, they cannot get it wrong. But again, we are seeing almost a repeat of the shenanigans that marred the First and the Second Republic. And it will be very, very unfortunate that after 25 years of civilian administration, we are yet to put our acts in order, as simple as running of party interest.
All right.
I think it is a very terrible development that every politician must be called out so that they will know that they have a duty to the people in everything they do as far as governance is concerned.
Barrister Friday Zako, yesterday at 8 o'clock with Parallel Facts, Peter Obi held an X space where he needed to have a conversation with Nigerians and certain questions were asked. Now, it took quite a while before he joined, but eventually when he joined the X space, he talked about some technical issues which were attributed to certain things anyways. But here is the thing. The full gist, or rather the main gist of that particular conversation was one. If he was given an opportunity to serve for 4 years, if at all he joins a coalition and he's given the ticket, would he rather prefer to go for 4 years and then possibly return power to the north? Now, Peter Obi said yes, he would. If that is the case with the coalition, he would do 4 years. And on the 28th, not 29, he will leave the Aso Villa. That's one thing. Two, he also made reference to the fact that the coalition talk is not necessarily a desperation for him to grasp power. He literally said that he's going to be in the coalition that gets to free Nigerians from slavery, from poverty, and from insecurity. And then he was asked questions. For example, your first 100 days in office, if you were to become the president, what is the first thing you're going to do? And he said insecurity. Barrister Fred Nzako, do you realize that immediately after that conversation, some influencers went on social media and began to amplify with religious and ethnic sentiments? One Arawa influencer went and said any person from the north who practices Islam and actually tries to vote for Peter Obi is not a true Islamic person. Reno Mokri went to his handle and wrote in Hausa, warning the North from galvanizing behind Peter Obi, literally stoking ethnic tensions. Do we say we should expect more of this to possibly infuse fear? And why should influencers go this route? If there is any implosion in the country just because of politics, wouldn't it affect everybody?
There must be a difference between, Nigerians must be told the plain truth that there is a lot of difference between political mudslinging and hate speech. What Reno Mokri and the other so-called influencer did does not amount to political statements or political mudslinging. They amount to sheer hate speech. And hate speech has been identified as a very terrible speech that will not be allowed or tolerated in any environment or in any climate. We will recall that it was an incident of another incident of hate speech that brought the terrible war that was fought in Rwanda.
Yes.
And then the Rwandan people have learned their lesson, and they have tried as much as possible to put that behind them with a very deep consciousness that nobody will be allowed to go scot-free on account of hate speech. Now, we expect that the security agencies should call these people who are involved in hate speech and bring them to reason and call them to order. Sometime in the recent past, one SND, one chief Frederick Ajago,
Yes.
only made a statement that was not even a hate speech, but can be seen as a statement of warning, a defensive warning. And then security agencies picked him up and kept him in detention for a very long time.
Yeah.
Now, people are making sinister speeches that are even worse than that made by the one made by Mr. Frederick Ajago. And the security agencies are claiming that they don't know. So, in a country that operates in this way, without fairness, without justice, and without impartiality by the government agencies, cannot be claimed to be doing well. So Nigeria cannot claim to be doing well when the security agencies will pick and choose issues to address and issues not to address. To a very large extent, what is the difference between what the so-called northern influencer Arena Mokri said? What is the difference between what they said
There's no difference at all.
And what those that they are dragging all around in the court? What is the difference between what they said? When they will be making such insinuations that are obviously dragging and stoking up unnecessary sentimentalism in the system, I expect the security services or even the Nigerian police to call these gentlemen to order, all in a bid to curry the attention and favor of Mr. President. They don't give a damn whether they put fire to the country, but that will not be tolerated.
That will not be tolerated. It's beyond this. They've been going on with this, and nobody from the security agencies, nobody from the federal government has made any form of reprimand. So could this be a strategy to create chaos, implosion in the polity, specifically from this current administration, to dissuade persons from having to vote or galvanize behind anyone they want to galvanize? Should we accept that this will be the machination of the current administration?
There is no reason why government will be trying the Kano and allow this charlatan called or mockery to be stoking tension outside Nigeria. Meanwhile, the man is not in Nigeria. He has run away, and from wherever he had in place outside Nigeria, he is trying to drop in bomb and fuel into the Nigerian political space. And the government is laughing and pretending as if they don't know. There is no reason why they will allow that if our security agencies are really serious at doing their jobs. And that is what we're talking about. That when you intentionally allow bad utterances to fill the air, and you claim you don't know, then you're invariably being accessory to the fact of such hate speech. What these gentlemen did was pure and simple hate speech. But be that as it may, no matter how much they hate Mr. Peter Obi, it is the people of Nigeria that will determine their future and their fate in 2027.
Okay.
But the Nigerian people expect that INEC should this time around not fail them the way they had failed them in the past. And if such failure continues, then the leaders of this country are digging the grave for Nigeria, which will be very unfortunate if they clearly begin to do things that will not advance the cause of democracy, or advance the cause of unity, or advance the cause of integrated diversity that Nigeria is noted for. Everybody should be seen to be equal before the law. And if you allow Nigerian people to take their decision on who their leader will be, and do not allow such sinister speeches by mongers who have no basis for whatever they're doing apart from trying to correct a favor of the government in power. And I think it is very, very unacceptable.
Morris, my colleague is about to ask you a question, but first of all, there's something I just wanted to quickly respond to. In this coalition talk, he has not said anything yet. He has not said if he has officially left the Labour Party, but he has admitted that he is part of coalition talks. Basically, his camp disclosed that by Tuesday or Wednesday, Nigerians will know where he really stands. But there is obviously a very strong potential that he may leave the Labour Party and join the coalition. But the thing is this. What this coalition is, nobody knows. They're going to conduct a primary. Nobody knows if he's going to be the flag bearer of the coalition. In other words, if indeed Peter Obi does leave the Labour Party, joins this coalition, and a primary is held, and he is not the presidential candidate, then what happens?
The name Peter Obi has become such a name that sent shivers in the spines of people in government. Whether they accept it or not, Nigerians can observe it. But anytime B2B's name is mentioned, the people in government catch cold. And why do they catch cold? Because they know that the man has organic followership that are not induced, followership that is not bought by anything, but by the fact that they have seen this man as a rallying point for survival and the emancipation of the Nigerian people. And that is why some compromised and paid charlatans will wake up every day. If it laughs, they have read meaning to it. If he smiles, they read meaning to it. Everything, even if he kept mood, they will read meaning into his keeping mood. And that simply tells you that P2B is an enigma. And what he wants to do is to once again present himself as that hero portray that the birds will perch on to receive shelter, because many Nigerians are like roaming birds that are looking for where to hide and where to have shelter, and they cannot find that shelter even in the present day government. Now Mr. Obi wants to stand as an hero, such that if Nigerians by themselves decide that they will continue with their suffering, then that is their fate. But if they decide to vote wisely and vote who they feel and who they know will make their lives better, then they will not say they did not have that opportunity. And that's exactly what is going on. And that is why even the party at the center is very, very uncomfortable with the coalition. We hear that they have fused into any particular coalition they feel that will be the major opposition. They went and fused in another divisive tendency in that. ADA, for example, there are two political associations.
Yes, true.
They are the same acronym, ADA. One is the authentic one, and the other one is one sponsored by the APC. So they allege that the APC is sponsoring another ADA, so that they will create confusion, and then INEC will not register ADA. And that is why Mr. El-Rufai had won INEC. The Nigerians are watching. We are all in need together, and we expect that INEC should be impartial and become just impartial for once in their life. Register this party that is ready to save Nigerians, and do not allow INEC themselves to be used towards such effort. So there are 110 political associations seeking for registration. Out of the 110, Nigerians know that one stands out, and that is ADA. Today, they are trying in all ways and manner to scuttle that ADA, but Nigerians are also watching. The politicians themselves, who are the promoters of this new association, they are also watching, and they are warning INEC about to beware of the eyes of March, and to beware of whatever action that the ruling party may push them into. We want to robust competition so that the people will have opportunity to decide their fate. Nigerians are not happy. The government knows that Nigerians are not happy. The government does not know how to make Nigerians happy. The best they can do is to allow Nigerians to decide who will make them happy. And that is what democracy is all about. You don't force down the throat of the people who you want and what apart from what they want. For once, Nigerians must be allowed to decide their leadership in 2027. And let me prophesy that any effort towards such effort by Nigerians to decide their fate may not receive may receive serious condemnation and may not receive the same docility that Nigerians are known for. Because The people have been pushed to the wall, and they have no other thing to do than to fight back.
All right, Barrister, my colleague is to ask you questions now, so we have very limited time.
Allow them to take their destiny into their hands come 2027.
Thank you so much, Barrister Fredin Zako. While political machinations are going on ahead of 2027, political elite is doing what they know how to do best. Nigerians are actually expressing their displeasure on the state of affairs. The Emir's Palace and NDLEA office were set ablaze today as youths went on a rampage protesting against insecurity in Kwara State. This is in just one local government area in Kwara State, while the Emir of the Yashikira Emirate in the same Kwara is talking about how the new terrorist group Mahmuda is plotting to establish an independent government in the state, collect zakat, that's the Islamic tax, telling people when they can go to their farms and when they cannot go to their farms. Yes, it's good to talk about 2027, but what about the issues that are plaguing us right now, most notably insecurity from Niger to Benue to Kwara to Enugu to Imo State? All of this, who's really speaking for the people? While we talk about 2027, yes, a new government might come in. This administration is doing what it can, but is it really doing enough?
It's obvious that the administration is not doing enough. We call it res ipsa loquitur in law. The action speaks for themselves. If they are doing enough, we'll see the result. If they are not doing enough, we are seeing the result. But it is very unacceptable for you to gang up and go and put fire to the palace of anybody. Putting fire to MS palace does not solve the problem. What the youth should do is to be intelligent enough to demand actions by their government.
They've been demanding, but it's not. It seems like nobody has been responding, Barrister. They've been demanding. They've been consistently demanding. Nobody has been paying any attention.
There is no reason they should put fire anywhere, because that is a cowardly, timid attitude by the so-called youth. Nobody should go and set fire anywhere. We should discuss the issues and demand answers from those we have elected. We are asking for state police. I expect the youths who are angry to form themselves into a vigilante group. If they feel that their environment is not secured, nothing solves them. Even if they are not called the police, the one that is allowed by our current Kwashoko law is a vigilante. Now they can form themselves into a vigilante group and protect the environment. But everybody is waiting for government to do everything, and the same government we are waiting for is not ready to do anything. So we ask for state police. We should ask questions for the governors. What are they doing about state police? We should ask questions from the federal government. Why are they not putting impetus towards state police? So that when there is state police structure, many more people will be employed, and there will be better security for all nooks and crannies of this country. These are basics that we know will solve the problem. But when the people in authority are more interested in politics, more interested in money, more interested in power, the rest of the things you'll be seeing will be despondency and frustration in the land. And that is what is leading the people to behave the way and manner they are behaving. Nigeria is gradually sliding into an animal kingdom that is worse than a fair state. And we should not allow it, because there are reasons why we should have this trend. We have answers to the problems, but we lack the will to do what is right. And the will to do what is right is what is needed to
But Zako, is this anger enough to push Nigerians to make the right choice in 2027? Because that is all this boils down to.
Did I get you well?
Is this anger, this annoyance in the hearts of Nigerian youths and indeed those older, is it enough to push Nigerians to vote right in 2027, to vote for a credible candidate in 2027?
Two major things that should be at the uppermost in the mind of any voter. One, the economy. Are you feeding? Are you not hungry? How is your life? Is it getting better or getting worse? Number two is security. As a matter of fact, security should be number one, and then issues of economy should be number two. Any citizen that feels he's not progressive, or that he's getting the short end of the knife, should be angry enough to take a firm decision to when an election comes. But if the same citizen go to compromise their vote and commit harakiri and vote the wrong people, for the next 4 years after 2027, they will continue to agitate, they will continue to cry, and they will continue to despair. We are calling on all Nigerians to wake up Because even the illiterates among us, they now know that the country is not working. You don't need to be an elite. You don't need to be a professor to know that Nigeria is not working. Because even the dumb can speak about the issues in Nigeria, and the deaf can hear that Nigeria is not working. The blind can see that Nigeria is not working. These are the indices that would advise people on what to do come 2027.
Thank you so much, Barrister Fred Nzako.
Thank you, Barrister, for taking your time and giving us your, your insight into some of the stories posed, or rather, into some of the questions posed at you in the World News at 6. We sincerely do appreciate your input.
Many thanks.
All right. And that's a wrap on the World News at 6. My name is Esther Wachuku.
My name is Choma Innocent. Good evening, and thank you for listening.